How you doing, dude?
I'm good, man. You?
Yeah, yeah, good. I'm gonna turn you up, but I don't know if it's gonna be loud enough. You wanna talk?
I can move the mic closer to my mouth. Is that better?
Yeah, yeah, that helps. And I can turn up in Discord a little bit as well. Oh man, kare kare. Oh my gosh, dude, everyone's talking Filipino food in chat now. I'm so excited. Yo, yeah, if you ever get the chance, have some Filipino food. Filipino food. So okay, so it's Lee Smith Anderson.
Yeah,
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I've just been chilling. How
You
about
just
you?
chilling? Yeah, yeah, I'm good. It's a long day, but it's good. I'm gonna show your portfolio here. I'm gonna link it in chat as well for okay. So do you want to talk a little bit about how you got into what you're doing and like where you're planning to go and all that stuff?
Yeah, can do. Kind of interesting story. I was actually studying sports before I
Yeah.
started getting into this. Um, they end up like saying that there wasn't enough students for the next year, so it was either carry on doing like redoing the year or find something else to do.
Yeah.
And there happened to be a games course. I was like, huh, why didn't I think of this before?
Yeah.
So yeah, um, went on that. Now I'm in uni,
Yeah.
uh, doing well now on a integrated MA for game art and
Dang.
hoping to be a pop artist.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So let's see it. So you've been how long you been doing 3D then?
Um, so about 2 years in college,
Yeah.
on and off, and then I'd say 2 years in uni, mainly because the first year was kind of a mix of doing animation, uh, like 3D for VFX and for games.
Yeah. Oh man, so
So
it's quite mixed then. I mean,
yeah,
dude, my schooling was 4 years, but it was like it started as like traditional drawing and then went into like 2D animation, and I'm like, I hate this. And and then like it's not for me. It brought a whole new understanding of it to me,
mm,
which is like now you can really appreciate 2D animation. But I could tell that wasn't for me. And then it went into 3D. So I
yeah.
only got 3D for that last bit.
I had the same thing for my college course. Like the
Yeah.
beginning of the college course for the first year was mainly learning about 2D animation, but not actually doing any 2D animation. There's
Yeah.
a lot of like history of 2D animation.
Dang. That like how has this helped me? That's how yeah, I don't know, man. I couldn't stomach that stuff. It's pretty rough. Dude, chat's having a good time. Apparently Casey's from the same college.
Yeah, I just saw that. I did not know that. You
And
might need
and
to
I'm
have a chat afterwards.
recognizing the singularity scene from Laura's stuff. Is this why Laura's
Yeah,
in chat tonight?
yeah.
Yeah,
She realized I didn't remind her. But yeah,
yeah. Yeah,
she came to
maybe.
cheer on.
Uh, oh, it's all good. No shame. No shame. Uh so okay, so we can start like so this is 9 months ago and we're
Yeah.
looking at your we've got the wishing tree props. So is that separate from the wishing tree? So these are very separated from each other. Is there a reason that you've laid it out like this?
So the way I thought about it was just having the props on one side and like the actual environment on the other side,
Right.
just so
Okay.
it
Yeah,
it
yeah,
felt
so
like
I
it
see.
read better to me personally. I
Yeah,
don't know
so
if
it's
you'd argue against that or not, but
so the okay, so no, I'm just trying to understand what like how you like what your process is here. I mean, I personally when a portfolio is small enough, I think
mm,
splitting them up can be good just because you get the you fill the portfolio up a little bit and it makes you feel a little bit more comfortable to be able to post more. For
mm,
some people, it can feel hard when you only have a few pieces on your portfolio, and in that regard, I think it's totally fine to separate them. But then as your portfolio starts to get more filled up, I would say like once you have that first top row and you're starting to get posts in the bottom, you can start merging them in. And I
Okay.
mean, I know that for some people as well, they like to keep the likes and the views and all that stuff. So you can just hide this, right? Once you merge it back in, and then put all of those posts inside of here. Oh yeah,
Okay.
I remember looking at this too. Yes, 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 yes. I think I looked at this in a critique, the wishing tree, but I think it was actually from Laura as well,
Yeah,
because
probably.
she was. I think it was for effects. I could be wrong. I know it was effects for Singularity, but I think having the props, if they're going to be separated like this, I would still have them next to each other, just
Okay.
so they're affiliated. Um, what was I going to say about the? So you know how it's in the previous portfolio, I was saying you could do a thing with a thumbnail where they're kind of attached.
Yeah.
You could draw like an arrow, or like have an arrow design that connects the two, and then you could put like a scene and prop, or working with the logo so that it shows like, okay, this is the scene and then this is the props, and then they're
Okay.
both named like the same thing, or whatnot. So then you can show the connection between the two until later
Mm.
when you merge them together. Because eventually, I would suggest merging them.
Okay. Um, with
Yeah.
that, how? Because a lot of the past reviews, what you've been doing, you've been suggesting putting wireframes. Would
Mm-hmm.
you still suggest the same with this, even
Uh,
once they've been merged?
yes. Mainly because you want to be a props
Yeah.
artist. Because like you've got environment art and then you've got props, and the thing with those is like depending on how big the studio is. Like, are you interested in AAA or indie, like
Um,
smaller studios?
I kind of don't mind either.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good to go for either, really.
Okay. Because like when you go, I wouldn't say it's indie. When you go to a smaller team, right?
Mm.
When the team is like, I don't know, the whole game's being built by like 10 people or less. Like that gets crazy, and people have to wear a lot of hats, right? So
Yeah.
I think in that moment, a props artist is likely an environment artist as well, or a level artist, and maybe even a the level designer if it gets into that small of a group. But as the studio gets larger, or the team is larger, and people start to specialize, a lot of the times you'll be like, okay, we need a bicycle, right? That'd be like a
Yeah.
level artist saying, we need a bicycle. They build the request, which is like a block out of the scale and like any of the reference imagery that they're going to need. And then they would send that to the props team. And then the props team just gets the block out and those references and then just tries to rebuild it. That would be like a props artist in a more highly, I guess you would say, specialized AAA scene. AAA is very, there's like departments for everything.
Yeah, you kind of just do one thing, you can end up just like, oh, do guns for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I mean, of course, like you can switch around and whatnot. No one's gonna
Mm.
keep you in guns if you don't want to do guns.
I mean, I
um,
do like the idea of modeling guns. I've
yeah,
messed about with it a bit.
but yeah. So I mean, when you think about it like that, you think that you're mainly focused on props, and that's when I would say definitely wireframes and showing how you're utilizing the assets, UV space, and because it's not just wireframe, it's how you're utilizing the geometry, how you're deciding where seams are going to be in your UVs, and how you're utilizing the UV space as well. Because there's some areas like maybe you only need to bake one tire, right? And then
Yeah,
that tire can be duplicated and then used in the back. Um,
yeah,
and that's probably a more simple example of that. But like in some cases, you won't have to build much of anything. Like for a bicycle, if there's not much detail in the materials and it's just more about identifying the material type, they might just throw geometry at it and then just basic materials and call it good.
mm. Okay,
So it's really, I guess, about how you showing wireframe and UVs and how you've textured things, or how you think about texturing. That's really important, I think, when it comes to showing a portfolio for a props artist, you want to understand PBR and just getting your materials to read really well and getting that fidelity without saying like, okay, I've got this lantern. This is a lantern, right? It looks like a
Yeah.
lantern, yeah. And you get this lantern, and you're like, I made this, and it's one unwrapped texture that's like 4K. That doesn't do much for like applying to be um, a props artist because we can't do 4K,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
So it's about being able to show them what you can do with limited resources, or being able to keep that stuff quite simplified.
Okay.
But yeah, so I would say wireframes for sure, and materials and flats and all that. You don't have to say what the poly count is of stuff,
Mm.
because they'll be able to see in the wireframe where you're putting your geometry.
Cool.
But yeah. Oh yeah, I remember looking at this actually. Yeah, this looks pretty cool. So this one is let's see if they're. So this one also, you don't have a wireframe, and when we look at the materials, the thing that I really like about these videos is like you can get it to rotate and then pause it somewhere and just look at the way the roughness is responding, and that really tells a whole lot about like how you think about the material maps, because like roughness is freaking everything. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's everything. It's like your albedos can be quite simple, or your color map can be quite simple, and it's just making sure it's not too saturated and not too bright or too dark, and then your PBR correct in that. Unless you're getting into metals, like metals get a little weird. They're not complex,
Yeah.
but
I,
yeah,
I
they
had
get
I
yeah.
had some issues with metals when trying to do the lighting for this, and
Oh
having
yeah,
to like just add like a random point light on top of the metal areas so that it would actually like show up.
right. Yeah. So if your metals are really dark in a scene, a
Mm.
lot of that has to do with the fact that there's just not a scene for the metal to reflect. Like the perfect example is like if you go into a bathroom and you like turn the lights off, the metal is, you're not going to see anything
Yeah.
because there's nothing to reflect back, right?
Mm.
But yeah, so it's that, thinking about that type of stuff, getting your albedo colors like in line with PBR ranges, but then really looking at your roughness and telling all of the stories you can through those materials. Like where do people touch the this this arcade dartboard machine? Like where are fingerprints going to be? Where does dust build up that changes the overall roughness profile? And like all of those, combining all of those, that's when it gets like you start to get this natural feeling. Like I can see it in the streaks and stuff on the side here. And
Mm.
the thing I'm wondering is, what does this look like if I look at this with roughness? This is where I'm like, dude, ArtStation needs to have a wiping tool where you can
Just slide
upload.
so you can just slide it over.
Yeah. So you can do the color, and then like you've got this render, and then you have a slider to move it left and right to expose like another image that you want, like the roughness, for example.
Yeah.
Because then I could see how you're thinking about your material work. Like, what is this actually in the roughness, or is this just albedo, for example?
That is in the roughness and albedo. Yeah.
That's awesome. See, Ghost in chat saying, "Isn't that what Sketchfab is for?" Yeah, I mean, you can do that in Sketchfab for sure. But if you're going for a very specific render, you don't have to have it in like Sketchfab will limit you in ways that Sketchfab operates, right? Whereas like if you want to have like all types of different, dude, if you could have different types of wipes that you could do where you could blend between, oh man, because you could even do a wireframe of that, and that's just not having to make a Sketchfab account, for example.
Mm.
And I don't have anything against Sketchfab. Sketchfab's awesome. I want them to have like a feedback tool where I can manipulate the roughness values after it's been posted. I would freaking love that. Anyways, uh, yeah, let's do you want to which scene do you want to look at? Do you want to go through all three of these or
Um, can do. Yeah.
yeah? Okay. So, you've got the Spencer wing. What is the Spencer wing? Is that yeah, it is Resident Evil.
Yeah. So
Dude.
it was a project that we were given
Oh, dude, I remember this as
using
well. Man,
Resident
Laura
Evil in London.
Laura was showing off all your guys' stuff for her particles.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, this is pretty cool. This is when I look at this, I can tell there's areas that are really dark, like
Mm.
up here, and it's makes me wonder like, okay, what does this look like albedo only? Like what's the value there? Like how dark is that texture? Or is it just the way that it's lit? Like I'm not sure, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you were the lead props artist and technical artist. What was a technical artist for you?
So it, I mean, it was not technically technical arts for this
Yeah.
project. It was mainly gameplay programming. So
Okay.
if you go through the video, so like the puzzles and doing the blueprints for the activations
Yeah.
of like certain things like doors opening. That was most of the stuff what I did. I did look into a tool for creating like doing procedural books so that we could just quickly place books around.
Right. Yeah, and get some variety with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is cool. Man, it's crazy cuz group projects were barely a thing when I was in school. Like they were just starting to like even talk about them. And this is like way more advanced than what we were doing. So, okay, so you were I mean like the Houdini was that Houdini for the books and stuff like that?
No, that was just in engine.
Oh, really? So
Um,
just through blueprints.
yeah, just using
Mm.
like splines.
Yeah. Yeah, so with this scene I just feel like I mean we can look at the laboratory scene as well. I feel like the laboratory scene could be its own post as well, separate from the even though they're part of the same project,
Mm.
they're two separate spaces, right? So you could link them that way. And still separate them out. But really understanding like what your materials, how they read in the lighting, and like when they're really dark, why are they dark? How's the lighting work? You know, and just trying to um, draw focus to the scene. Because right now, like when I look at this scene, it's very busy, right? Because you set up like a blueprint to help you generate like book piles and like
Yeah.
arrangements of books. So all I'm seeing is books like everywhere. And I think and then the lighting that comes through the window it is pretty cool with the rays. But then you have it up here as well. And there's like these shadow cutouts, right? From whatever maybe it's the shape of the windows, casting at like these extra shadow shapes. It just ends up becoming very busy. Like there's a lot of stuff happening. And so
Yeah.
with like when you squint at it, like what do you see? And nothing in particular sticks out. So it's more about finding like a focal point. Like maybe the shelf back here is really important, or there was something you were supposed to find in here. I'm trying to remember from the video, but if there's something you're supposed to find, then it's like having a centerpiece to the scene could just be the lack of a centerpiece. Like if it opens up in the middle and all the books, it kind of looks like it does.
Yeah.
And all of the lighting is being focused towards that. You can have the lighting from the outside pretty toned down and all of the lighting coming from the chandelier, and you'll start to really like pull the focus in towards the center. Let me see if I can like copy this, bring it into the photoshops. Um, let's see if we can just level this out. I'll show you too. Like you can see how dark the scene is. Like everything is in this range, and you want to make sure that you have a fuller range. and especially when they start to get the fuller range, and then it becomes really busy, right?
Mm.
So
Yeah.
let's turn that off, and we'll I don't know if you want to darken the scene like that, but let's darken the scene like this. We'll paste one more. So we've got a bright one, and then we've got the regular one and the dark one. I'm just gonna go through and like with the bright one, mask it, invert that, and then just paint the focus point, which maybe it's here, and you have this area up, like the chandelier that's lighting the space, and then everything else can kind of go to the side. Like this is really simplifying it, of course. I'm just gonna kind of push this stuff away, and behind the chandelier, I don't know if this is gonna work. Let's see. Famous last words. Let's go. Um, I'm gonna try and select this. Oh God, this is gonna be. Okay, let's see if I can darken that as well behind it. Nope, that doesn't work at all. Very cool. Okay. Well, oh no, it is working. Okay, it's kind of working. Anywho, so getting the focus to be central and just getting your eyes to be able to like look at it and not have the entire scene fighting for attention is like a key element that I see is missing from a shot like this. Um, but yeah, the other thing I would think about is like the scale. When you have the character in here, because you guys are doing a custom character, is map out and find out how high these ceilings are and figure out like what that height is in comparison to the character and just kind of understand the scale that you're working with, because especially when the camera goes third person behind a character, things can start to look weird, like the size of doors or like how high the ceiling is. And as the camera gets closer to the character, the space can start to look even larger, and so then you really start having to pull stuff down or shrink things. So that's
Yeah.
something to keep in
When we
mind.
originally started it, we started with the Unreal mannequin, and then
Yeah.
we decided to add the character and realized she's a lot smaller than the Unreal.
I mean, it happens. um is there anything you wanted to say about the laboratory space or like have thoughts on?
um, I don't know. Because this was our first group project
Mhm.
as a group. I feel like coming on from there, we've learned.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, definitely.
So it's like I can see areas where it's like, oh yeah, why did we do that?
Yeah. I mean, so with the particles back here, that's probably the one thing I'll point out, since it sounds
Mm,
like you're recognizing a lot of the stuff that, like, there's the sorting here, there's like the ambient occlusion on the plants in the back here feels a little odd, but the particles here are very bright, right? Because they're basically they're unlit particles, so you kind of have to color match them to the scene. At least they look like they're unlit. I don't think they're being affected by lighting. So you have to like take the color of the particles themselves and make them darker to just kind of blend in with the scene. But
okay.
I think that's probably more for Laura.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like Laura taking notes.
yeah. With the wishing tree, were you were the leading the props team? There was a team of props artists at this one, huh?
Yeah. Like not a massive team, but it was I think three, four of us
Yeah.
maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's a good sized team for like a student props team. So you're like building out like everything that was how how were you organizing that, since you said you were leading it?
So I mean we had dailies pretty
Yeah.
much every day. Either that or we'd be in VC every day. Especially with it being during COVID.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of us just jumped in VC to work together anyways. But it was mainly just making sure that people knew exactly what they were doing. They knew sort of what we wanted from them in terms of reference. Like, I would, before the project started, I would find sort of like the props what I wanted them to do,
Mm-hmm.
and search for reference so that they had somewhere to start from, and then just give them like a pure ref of reference images to
Oh,
work
dude, that's
from.
awesome. Yeah, yeah, that's great. That's a great. You were leading. No, that's awesome, man. This specific shot here actually looks quite good. I think the where the ivy is on the wall here is maybe a
Mm.
little, just a little bit sharp, but I mean, we've seen ivy like that before. Um, so when you were leading all of that, did you get a chance to make any of this stuff, or were you making sure that everyone was good to go?
Made quite a few things.
Yeah,
But I didn't get as much time as I would have liked on all of them. It was
yeah,
a
the life
six
of a lead,
week
man.
yeah, pretty much. It was
Yeah.
a 6 week project. I think the longest thing I got to spend time on was the bike.
Mm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
End up
Yeah, this one.
spending about 2 weeks on the bike. In between, also doing some of the other props.
Right.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
it was a lot of
that's cool though.
giving
I mean,
feedback.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, like, oh, this feels a little weird, or like this is too bright or too dark, and it's just trying to figure out where to focus the attention. Like
Yeah,
I'm seeing the lights move around in the windows here. Like there's an emissive, right, that's being painted in there.
yeah.
And then I see it
Uh,
at one point it goes back. Where is it? This one. You can see it's here but kind of here. Is that parallaxed?
I don't believe so,
Cuz like you can
from
do
what I can
some
remember.
really cool stuff if you UV it in a nice way. Like where you parallax the emissive back in space. But
Mm,
it's blurry like that. It'll give the illusion that it's in the distance inside of the. Laura says it's a parallax cube map. I mean
okay.
that works as well, because it's like you're faking an interior that you can't see, but the light
Yeah,
is kind of casting through the material. It sounds like that's what you guys were doing. It's crazy useful because it gives you a sense of height as well, like when where gradients make sense with the lighting. When a
mm,
floor is much higher up, you're seeing more of the ceiling than the
yeah,
walls, right? So the way the lighting hits the ceiling is going to be how you expect it to happen. So when you do effects like that, you get some free bonus effects to like the subconscious of anyone viewing your work. It just kind of looks like it's right. You're like, huh, okay, yeah.
that
Oh,
makes.
dude, this shot's cool. This feels good. So you were leading, right? But were you helping construct the scene as well, like placing stuff, or were they building the props and placing them as well?
So it was mainly me and Laura in engine.
Mm,
So we'd be like for the block out, I did the block out, and then sort of we went from there.
right.
Sort of placing things. Usually just me and Laura in a VC layer, and I
Yeah.
just like
It's
playing
just
about
throwing
with like
stuff
where
around and
things are.
playing music and just chilling, working on
Yeah,
the
pretty
scene.
much.
Yeah. No, it's cool. That's super cool. And then if we look at the last one, the singularity, is this the same group?
Yeah. So same group is Wishing Tree.
Yeah.
And then from the Spencer Wing, about half the same people we just brought over to the other group as well.
Hmm. Yeah, there's a whole lot going on here. You can tell there's some updates on like how you guys have learned a thing or two about a thing or two.
Yeah.
Um, so one thing I wanted to point out, so you can see when I click this, I don't know who's in charge of like emissive lights and stuff. Is that still on the props?
So that was joint effort between me and Laura.
Mm,
She did sort of the effect side stuff of it, of well, the material side stuff of it, of just turning it on and off, and I did the placement.
right. Okay. Because what was I gonna say about it? You can use so when people usually think about emissive lights, they think about them
Mm.
being on and off, right? So they're like, oh, it's off, now it's on. And when you think about it like that, usually what you're doing is you paint a texture for the emissive pass itself. When what you could do is paint where the emissive could happen in like a black and white, so it's kind of like a mask for the emissive. And then
Yeah.
you can pan like a, how would I describe this? Like a cloud or like splotches of red for where the reds are, and then you pan that across it, and then they'll actually blink in different. You don't want noise because that's gonna get too crazy. You want like pretty high contrast, like spots of color. And so when those pan over the yes, Ian Hubert did a really good. Perlin would be perfect for this as well if you contrasted it enough. But you'll get randomized blinking versus like you can see here it's like an overall blink, and
Yeah.
occasionally you'll see a few that flicker. With that kind of panner over the top of a mask, you can get like natural breakup of the blinking.
Okay.
But yeah, this scene went through a whole lot. I remember watching this as it was going. Oh, this is nice.
Yeah.
This is a good angle. So is this who's I guess what were you working on in this scene?
So these consoles, the war table,
Mhm.
the servers, um, the three different variations of them as such, end up doing it as sort of just like uh kind of like an atlas texture
Yeah.
that I apply to all of them. And the portal were like the main things. I did do a few other side things as
Okay.
well, but
I mean, this is clearly the best thing that you guys had put together so far cuz you can tell you guys learned a lot. Um I'm just kind of going through this. I think what it comes down to is like design and
mm,
continuing to push the materials, like material understanding. So when I say design, it's stuff like where the cutout on the ground is, how close it is to this board, and like
yeah.
they're touching, right? That's like super weird to me. But it's stuff like that, and understanding like how tall is the railing, where is like information important to the user that's walking around in the space. Because like I would almost expect this board to be here, functionality wise, because you've got this stuff here. Maybe you would have this, and it's like an overseeing view that, like, let's say a commander is standing down here looking, and then you have a like a secondary commander or something like that, and just seeing how they all are interacting or how they would use the
Okay.
space.
Yeah.
It's probably the
So
best
basically,
advice that
designing
I've
the
gotten from
level
a director. Yeah,
better.
is understanding how the space is used by the people that don't exist that you're making this all up for, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, there's some really great stuff in here, though. This is definitely a level up. Is there this like cutout space? Was that the idea all along, or did that come later?
Yeah. So we were working off of a reference from Big Hero 6 and trying to
Mm,
convert it from its very stylized to like realistic.
yeah, man, this is pretty cool. That's a great movie too. Let's see
So
here.
yeah,
Oh, Ghost Found.
I
I think
haven't
Ghost
watched
Found it.
it as much as everyone in my group keeps singing its praises. I haven't watched
Yeah,
it
yeah. It's okay, man. Someday you'll watch it someday.
yet.
But I just like this. The feeling here is really strong.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is cool too with all the. Dang, dude, art director already, beast. That's awesome. I mean, it's interesting because like people get those roles right as they progress through the industry and they kind of become who they are and how they become an art director. But the reality is it's a set of shoes that you wear. It's really about the stuff that you're managing, not so much the. Of course, you have to be really good to be an art director in the real scenario, right? But
Yeah, exactly.
but trying out these roles in this group scene is very very good. because it gets that going. But I just realized how long we've been we've been talking. Do you have any questions?
Um, I guess going back to sort of the props.
Hmm.
Um, uh, I guess lighting and materials and how you feel about the lighting and the materials for sort of the prop posts.
For the prop posts.
Yeah, and like
So
I guess how
mhm.
you'd like
S- okay, yeah. Let me
improve
think about
such.
this. So when I look at the props, like the lantern, for example, it's
Mm,
basically just a glass and then this kind of rusty material. Whereas you want to, if you're just looking at a prop, I guess in the context of the scene, it doesn't have to be so detailed. But if you're just pushing a prop, it's thinking about how it's aged and like adding all those characters and the logic behind the surfaces themselves. Um, I don't mind the lighter background, and I'm happy that there's a gradient. Um,
mm,
there is a strong light, but I guess it's really about your materials. I think if your materials, as your materials get better, like your PBR understanding gets stronger, the the surfaces will just read better. Um, but looking at like modeling wise, the bike is quite good. And then it's as you go down here, like this lantern is quite simple in the way it's like. Is this actually geometry? This looks like it's just a geometry cutout.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
geometry.
and so it's thinking about how those how the surface wears and like what happens to like what this material type is and understanding what it looks like as it's old or aged. That's that's probably the part that'll make your materials look the best or like better than where they're at right now. Because like this looks like it's gold, but is it gold or is it like gold paint on wood? Like there's all these attributes you have to think about and like how they wear. Like if it's
Mm,
gold paint on wood, maybe the gold is chipping away a little bit and you see some of the wood material under it. Is the like the detail normal of the wood showing through the, there's all these little subtle things. And like I was saying earlier with roughness, like it's the biggest thing you can tap into for pushing your materials. And then next to roughness, I would say is actually detail normals.
okay. Yeah, I still need to look into detail normals. I keep hearing you talking about them
Yeah, I talk
in
about
like
them way too much, but they're
Discord
so
critiques.
important. I talk about them a whole lot. Uh, but yeah, I would say modeling wise, adding some more complexity when it comes to that, and then really understanding your materials. Uh, and don't be afraid to have a really bright, like this one's pretty muted in the lighting. Don't be afraid to use an HDR that's got like a pretty strong light direction or a light source, and just look at
Okay.
like how your materials are reading. They're basically Din's favorite thing ever, dude. They're everything, man. But yeah, I mean, as you build your next props and whatnot, do throw them in the critiques. Let's look at them some more. I
Yeah,
can
we'll
give you
do.
some more feedback.
I got a few I'm working on because
Yeah,
I kind of started some. Was like, I'll leave these for now. Come
yeah.
back to them later. And then just started some other ones. Like, oh god.
Oh no, yeah, I know how
But
that goes. We were talking about that earlier as well.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
yeah, I mean, the next Discord critiques I think are next week.
Okay.
You could post one in there. We'll take a look.
Yeah, we'll do.
But cool. All right, I'm gonna jump to the last
Yeah, I've been
call.
taking up way too much time.
Dude, it was me. I got on this whole tangent. I was just like, "Wow." I appreciate you posting your portfolio.
Thanks for the feedback. It means a lot.
Yeah, no problem, dude. I'll see you in the Discord.
Yeah. See ya.
All right. Talk to you later.